Hello and welcome to The Top Story, the podcast with the headlines of the day from our correspondents around the world. I'm Qi Zhi. Coming up in this edition, Chinese President Xi Jinping has witnessed the signing of documents relating to the free trade agreement and Belt and Road cooperation on his state visit to Peru. Business executives and government representatives are gathered at the APEC CEO Summit in Peru to discuss technology and energy. And Argentina has withdrawn from negotiations at COP29 in Azerbaijan amid divisions following the foreign minister's decision. We begin with Chinese President Xi Jinping's state visit to Peru. The leaders of China and Peru have witnessed the signing of documents relating to the free trade agreement and Belt and Road cooperation. The two countries have agreed to deepen their comprehensive strategic partnership. They issued a joint statement reaffirming ties in trade, infrastructure, civil aviation, and artificial intelligence. The two sides pledged to advance cultural and people-to-people exchanges. China says it will continue to support Peru's sustainable development. Peru said it appreciates China's willingness to join the comprehensive and progressive agreement on Trans-Pacific Partnership. In a written statement upon his arrival in Lima, President Xi Jinping said he expects his visit to bring about more achievements from bilateral cooperation. He also said he looks forward to attending the APEC meetings and contributing to an open Asia-Pacific economy. Zhao Yunfei runs us through the Chinese President's Day in Lima.
It all started from a grand welcome ceremony hosted by President Boluarte to President Xi. And then the two presidents held a bilateral meeting. During their talks, President Xi said that he can strongly feel the friendship between Peruvian people and the friendship from Peruvian people to Chinese. And he stressed the importance of mutual exchanges as well as the civilization exchanges. The two leaders celebrated the 53 years of diplomatic ties. President Xi said since last time he visited Peru back in 2016, the trade volume have increased 1.6 times. And he also mentioned about the operation of the free trade agreement between the two countries. After their bilateral talks, the two presidents attended the inauguration ceremony of the Chancay port via video link. The Belt and Road Initiative flagship project is one of the major projects for the Peru to connect. It's a deep sea port so that the rest of the Latin American countries can also take advantage of it to get connected with the Pacific. Upon President Xi's arrival, he says that China and Peru now sharing the comprehensive strategic partnership, and he's hopeful that this visit will bring this partnership to a new level, and that means pushing forward for more practical cooperation.
That was Zhao Yunfei on the Chinese president's state visit in Peru. As leaders from APEC economies prepare for their summit in Peru, more than 1,000 business executives, strategists, and government representatives are meeting at the APEC CEO Summit. They're exchanging ideas to address issues such as the energy transition, technology, and financial inclusion. Jim Spellman has more.
Leaders from the worlds of business and politics have converged on Lima, Peru for the APEC CEO Summit. Fernando Zavala is the CEO Summit chairman.
We will have business talking about energy transition, climate change, and also talking about technology. And the idea is to have academics, politics, and businessmen talking together and trying to make some agreement that what can we do together to grow more in the world economy.
The APEC economies account for about 60% of global GDP, so there are plenty of opportunities for investment represented here. Peru's President Dina Boluarte delivered the opening keynote address with a message that Peru is open for business.
Peru opens its doors and welcomes capital and investment funds from around the world, offering foreign investors legal and economic stability and clear rules of the game that guarantee sustainable growth. We are promoting private investment by unlocking crucial projects that will mark a turning point in our economy.
Discussions are addressing the challenges and opportunities presented by changing business landscapes and emerging technologies like AI.
What we're hearing from companies is the fact that with all of the changes happening around, it is an opportunity today to think about how they can even reinvent their business and do things differently. So nobody wants to let go of this opportunity, even if it is challenging. Good things will happen after that.
Beyond the speeches and roundtables, the CEO Summit is an opportunity for business and political leaders to spend unscripted time together and create relationships they can build on in the coming months and years.
That was Jim Spellman on APEC's biggest business event. Turning to Asia, Argentina has left climate negotiations at the UN conference in Azerbaijan amid divisions that are emerging. The spokesperson said the withdrawal was a decision by the foreign minister. Remaining delegates are still focused on securing funding and reaching agreements. Radhika Bajaj reports from Baku.
Negotiations are fraught and there is tension in the air here at the venue of COP29 in Baku. The Argentinian delegation has pulled out of the talks, reportedly after the Argentinian president spoke with Donald Trump and after Azerbaijan's president commented on what he termed France's colonial crimes. France's ecology minister has also cancelled her trip to Baku. These are not good signs for the negotiating teams that do remain here in the backdrop of Trump's pledge to pull out from the Paris Agreement altogether. On Thursday, the independent high-level expert group on climate finance, a group of leading economists, met again and said $1 trillion will be needed by developing countries by 2030 in climate finance. That's 5 years earlier than previously suggested. The huge challenge, of course, remains getting richer nations to increase their inputs. A sense of urgency is conveyed by a report this morning by Climate Analytics that says current policies put the global temperature rise on track for 2.7 degrees Celsius. In the meantime, meetings continue between private companies, NGOs and country representatives on the most efficient ways to transition away from fossil fuels.
That was Radhika Bajaj in Azerbaijan. Elsewhere in Asia, think tanks from the Global South have formed a partnership to share ideas and findings from their observations of global issues. The Global South Think Tanks Alliance was the highlight of a dialogue in eastern China that focused on equality, openness and cooperation. Huang Yue reports.
An unveiling ceremony held in Nanjing to mark the official establishment of the Global South Think Tanks Alliance, a platform for scholars to exchange ideas and share insights on the challenges and opportunities they face. Last month, when attending the BRICS Plus Leaders Dialogue at the Kazan Summit, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced that China will lead the establishment of such a think tank among Global South nations to promote people-to-people exchanges and mutual learning on governance. The proposal has been warmly accepted by many of these countries. The alliance has already drawn participation from over 100 think tanks across emerging market and developing nations.
Today the world is a unipolar one, and there is an urgent need to have a new world order. And a combination of BRICS Plus and the South Alliance, the Global South Alliance, will play that role. Because after all, the vast majority of resources, both human and material, are in the southern hemisphere, or what we call the Global South.
China has emphasized that the alliance is based on a voluntary membership structure with no binding agreements. Jing Xin, an official from the research office of the International Department of the CPC Central Committee, says that the gathering in Nanjing offers think tank members valuable opportunities to familiarize themselves with one another's research areas and talent.
The think tanks can pair with each other. In the future, they will conduct joint research and publish joint reports. These reports will not just be limited to Global South cooperation, but can also be related to the regional development and the synergy of the development of strategies of these nations.
The alliance also aims to create more regional and global platforms for scholarly dialogues. Over the next 5 years, China says it will host no fewer than 2,000 scholars from Global South countries for forums and discussions to share perspectives.
That was Huang Yue in Jiangsu province. Finally, in Europe, companies at the just concluded Portugal Web Summit in Lisbon have discussed the ways to decrease costs of launching satellites and innovation driven by investments coming from public and private sources. Ken Brown reports.
3, 2, 1. From China preparing to send humans back to the moon in 2030 to the rise of SpaceX and a constellation of satellite launches, the space industry is blasting off. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have helped bring space adventures into the mainstream, and some experts say the space economy could be worth over $2 trillion by 2035. Belgian company Aerospace Lab was set up in 2018 by a handful of founders. Now they have 350 employees in 4 countries and 4 satellite factories in the making.
I think space is just that fascinating industry that has all scientists, lover, R&D tech experts looking into. And with the drastic price reduction of launch, it also gives more chances to people to build their satellites. We're opening to human exploration, to discovery, the satellite space telecommunication and low Earth orbit. Everything is booming today.
Constellations of satellites are now being launched, bringing many down-to-earth benefits like better internet and phone connections and real-time mapping that will help roll out self-driving cars. Here at the Web Summit in Lisbon, we've heard calls for Europe to wake up to the potential of the space economy. Mark Boggett is CEO of Seraphim Space, and he wants to see more risk-taking and more ambition from Europe's entrepreneurs. He also says that if Europe is to create its own SpaceX or something better, that we need to dramatically simplify regulations. He's talking about people like Christian Mittermeier, co-founder of Constellar, a company using purpose-specific satellites to fight disease outbreaks and the climate crisis.
We have specialized also in, with respect to climate change, in measuring temperature and water precisely from space, that we can make the planet and the world accountable and measurable when we want to fight climate change.
The company's systems can provide early warnings for climate disasters and even detect disease outbreaks so countries can prepare better. The space race is a fascinating journey into our unknown universe, but it's also aiming to improve life back on planet Earth too.
That was Ken Brown reporting. Now recapping the headlines. Chinese President Xi Jinping has witnessed the signing of documents on free trade and Belt and Road cooperation during his state visit to Peru. Business executives and government representatives are gathered at the APEC CEO Summit in Lima to discuss technology and energy. And Argentina has withdrawn from negotiations at COP29 in Azerbaijan amid divisions following the foreign minister's decision. And that's it for this edition of The Top Story, a podcast that brings you world headlines every weekday. For more news in politics, business, sports and culture, you can subscribe to the Beijing Hour, a one-hour podcast news magazine program. We welcome and appreciate all ratings and reviews. I'm Qi Zhi. Thanks for listening.